quarter or every month or something, do a thing where we get some people together based on what's happened, like major things have happened. So maybe if someone like some people have hit level 60, we try to get a representative from X guild.
Yeah, guest appearances sounds like it would be good with like regular 2 or 3 hosts with guest appearance. I would argue, honestly.
It looks like we're going live, so I presume Mike clear.
No, well, I mean,
Right,
you've been live for the last 20 minutes, just not on the right channel.
Yeah. All right.
Oh,
I'll get it up on the neutral server.
Yeah, we're live now.
Sweet, I'll switch my hosting over and stop streaming then.
Time to alert the comrades to infect the chat.
Infect the chat.
Are we using the new chat crust, or are we staying with general?
I couldn't find it, so I just stayed with general.
Fair one. No worries, no worries.
Actually, the thought that crossed my mind is that having Discord, as it wasn't a thing years ago, it can be used to host like RP events between Horde and Alliance in terms of diplomacy, for example.
Well,
I mean, I see
the
things.
Alliance can attempt to do diplomacy if they want to.
That's just a premise for more RP.
And PvP because it's RP PvP server.
Oh, perhaps. At a certain point.
I mean,
Let's see
it
if I can host now.
feels so epic for me if we can just organize some world PvP event, maybe role-playing PvP event, and as a final of this event is a battle between one faction and another. It could be very epic.
I always fantasized about doing one of those movie-like lineups where you stand in a row in front of each other like 2 armies and then just run into each other. I've never seen that, but I'm
And
sure
then
somebody
all
would.
die.
And you can have speeches to your army, you know, what's his face? Mel Gibson, the old movie, the Scottish one.
Braveheart.
Yeah, that's the one.
What, Braveheart?
William Wallace.
I think with the Horde, it will be, are you not entertained?
Oh yeah, of course.
I think the great thing as well for stuff like that, it's going to be really easy as well to record stuff for it and make a really cool video to promote the server.
So
Everything depends on the execution, actually.
as we're gonna
Of
leave, so
course.
maybe the leader of the podcast will take a word to introduce everyone. I mean, and to our audience, and what we're gonna talk about today.
Yeah, so I've basically just set up now the host to Crust, so I think that should start coming through. I don't know if you've that pop.
Yeah, it's all running live now. Everyone at the moment they're asking how it's working.
Yeah, I see quite a lot of people there.
So I'm gonna tune into that as well, and then we should be good to go. Crust, do you want to just switch yourself from just chatting to WoW?
I don't think you're allowed.
Okay.
It has to be gameplay.
How big is the
Really?
delay on the Twitch? How big is the delay?
I think it's like 5 seconds, something like that.
Yeah, it should be about 4 or 5 seconds.
They're asking if we can put the fixed Discord thing. So rather than it popping when we're producing push to talk, for it to show it always and then light up our name when.
This is where chat find out there's like 20 people in this channel and go, oh my god.
Yeah, that's the only problem with that option.
Hopefully it'll get across when we do the introductions. I would probably say keep them brief given the number of kills in this channel though.
Hey, yeah, this is looking nice. This is looking nice. Cool. So, shall I start getting us started kicking things?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, give everyone a bit of an introduction.
All props to you.
All right, so this is the community podcast for Zandalar Tribe EU, the role-play PvP server. the only one, and we're lucky that we have one because Blizzard wasn't going to let us have one. So yeah, we're basically going to do a podcast where we've got a set of topics we're going to cover for the community events and some interesting things to discuss. But we're going to be getting started by letting some of the guilds that are on the server do a shout out. So if anyone's basically going to be watching this live or on a VOD, you'll obviously be able to hear your guild doing a shout out. And if you're interested in what the population's like on an RP server, what kind of guilds are there, this would be quite a good way to basically see who's here, see what they're all about. And hopefully with some of the topics that we've got coming up, you find out a bit more about what the RP PvP server community is all about. And hopefully, if you're on the sidelines, even just considering playing classic WoW, then this might be of interest to you. So what we're going to do is we're going to let everyone introduce themselves that are representing a guild, and we're going to go like Alliance Horde, and to fill in some of the gaps. I've got a couple of guilds that just couldn't make it, that really wanted to, that we're going to shout out very briefly from the Horde side. So if I literally just go grab my beer, I'm going to let our first Alliance member introduce their guild. You got a minute or so really to kind of sell yourselves and let the community know what your guild's all about, maybe what you plan to achieve, what your sort of flavors of gameplay are, whether that's RP sort of centric, or if you're here for the PvP, whichever it is. We're hoping that everybody here is tolerable of RP, because that's kind of what the server's all about. But there is guilds that are RP light, there's guilds that are RP friendly, there's guilds that are significantly more
RP heavy.
advanced into that spectrum than what I'm aware even exists. And as our guild's very new to this, it's the first time for us we're going to ever be playing on an RP PvP server. We're actually really interested to hear what everyone's got to say about it, and we've kind of thought that this would be one of the best ways to do it. So I'm going to hand over to the first person to speak, who should know who they are, and I'll let you introduce your guild.
Psst, Ted.
Wait, what? Okay, hello. Apologies, I thought it was going a completely different way. So I'm Ted. I'm one of the raid leaders in Sanctuary. I'd say an RP light guild. We were initially planning to go on a PvP server, but after seeing the discords and how crazy the queues were, we chose to give RP PvP. We're primarily going into PvE, but we're also looking at giving RP a try while also engaging in World PvP, a few guild events, things like that. Our main focus is that all the people in our guild have a fun time playing. We're not really looking for players who have crazy good experience. We're not going into that try hard role kind of thing. We're more focused on people who want to learn the game, have fun playing the game, and even help others if they want to. And hopefully we'll be a big part of the server. Getting involved in all sorts of stuff, primarily ganking Horde, hopefully as well. So yeah.
Cool. So if we're going to stick with the like alphabet or Claude we're going for, in my mind, the next person to speak is D. If you're good to take it away, mate, I'll give you.
Sure. Well, actually, I'm here for help. I can only speak about the RP section. So, T-Cobb, you go. I'll add something if you'll need some.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. My English is not so fluent as I wish, because we're partly Russian, partly English-speaking guild. But of course, we'll use only English during our guild chat, party chat, and everything. Maybe we'll use Russian only in whispers between each other. That's all. So basically, we don't have one focus. We try to rotate all kinds of events, like, because if you focus only on PvP or only on raids, it leads to just people get boring because of it. If you raid too much. People leave the game because of it, because it's became too everyday boring grind. So we're looking for personalities first of all, not some classes or specs. We'll try to weave role playing in all just normal game experience, like questing together, going to dungeons. It's not necessary to role play during this activity, but we'll try to do this if all participants will wish to do this. I think that our RP style is more light, so you don't have to do this, but we'll have storyline events, and also we have some great talents of voiceovers and journalists who can create really good content about World of Warcraft, and they already did. And we plan to produce some good videos, so it's a good chance for you to save something for yourself as a memory of the years that you'll spend on Classics relaunch. What I can say that we're unique, kinda, because we use a role system in raids, like main spec and off spec priority. No DKP, no loot cancel. Yeah, I know all the disadvantages of this method because it's slower the guild's progress, but I just simply don't want to be the guy who'll decide who deserves the loot. So it's simply will be a role.
Okay, and let me introduce a little bit more about RP. So, if you are interested in RP, yes, not everyone in the guild will be RP heavily focused. However, there will be people who are RP heavily focused. For example, I have more than 10 years of RP experience, and I'll be glad to teach if you want to learn.
Yeah.
Is that you guys wrapped up?
Yeah, I can say about my guild forever. I just want to give the time to other guilds too, because there are so many today.
No, I'm really glad that we got you guys to come here because on the Horde side, obviously some of the stuff we'll be discussing later. On the Horde side, there is a general feeling that we might lean towards a PvP side a little bit more. So it was really good to be able to bring an RP, a slightly more RP focused guild into this podcast from the Horde side. So I'll hand back over then to the Alliance.
Hang on, weren't you going to reveal the guild name?
Oh
yeah, come on! I was hyped for this.
No, not yet. In the end of the stream.
Oof, big.
Yeah, fair enough.
It might be worth you announcing what your order is, because I think there's some differences on the order that we're seeing.
Well,
actually, we voted before the
I
stream.
need to drag the bar out.
So I didn't want to interrupt you. I just want to say that we actually voted for the guild's name, and I'm still calculating the votes right now during this podcast. So
okay, well, you finish that while we carry on. So who's going next for the Alliance?
Cinder Conclave on my screen.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, okay, right. Well, yeah, they're all slightly different then, because Sidra was at the top of my screen, so I expected them to go first. But yeah, Sidra, you can announce your guild. If he's there.
Maybe he's asleep. Hey, wake up.
Otherwise, I will go, I guess.
Yeah.
You mean me?
Oh, here we go. Yeah,
Yes,
we mean you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Your guild name's so long, your name's off the screen, so I can't
Yeah.
call you out by your name.
All right, so I'll take a little bit shorter then. Hi, my name is Arfew, and yeah, it's pronounced Arfew. And I'm representing the Cinder Conclave. We're fresh and still a pretty small guild with some roots in private servers. And we are mostly focused on semi-hardcore to hardcore PvE content, but we also have some awesome plans for RP as well. Probably the biggest difference to the other guilds I saw around is that we have an in-depth EPGP system, which also takes into consideration the non-raiders. And we are also quite open to LGBT players. Ambition-wise, I think we'll probably start pugging at around week 3 to 4, because we can't fill a roster at that point yet. And so if you haven't found a fixed raid spot as an ambitious player, you'll probably end up in our raid. That's it.
Sweet, you happy? Yeah. All right. So on my screen, obviously, D and Tikob represent the same guild. So I'll hand over horde-wise to either Jambi or Kilrad, whichever you two want to represent your guild. Unless you want to like duo it, that's cool.
We will let Kilrad go first. He's the leader, so I should know my.
He's out under the bus then, yeah.
Yeah. Hello. I'm Kilred, and I'm the GM and the captain of crew. So, yeah, real pirate. Back in March of this year, I founded crew. You know, as a Discord, a promise of a guild to come. And now crew is going to be a 2-day raiding guild on Thursdays and Sundays in the evenings. Though I am sure you will see us in most aspects of the game, you know, from world PvP, organized PvP, maybe some of our members will dip in RP as well. That's not what the guild is focused on specifically. It's more PvE guild. Now the goal of crew is really to combine the best aspects of casual and semi-hardcore raiding, and we aim to clear all content eventually, even kill to south down the line, but at our own pace. This is because we think that when we raid with the people we like, then it's the most fun. And because of this, we will have limited requirements for consumables, and we will not be using world buffs regularly.
I agree.
You guys want to say a bit more, or?
Well, I can elaborate a bit. Because I've been in the guild on the Discord for quite a while, because I was pulled in early and very keen on seeing something like this. I think we actually fit quite well on the RP PvP server, even though, just like Ted from Sanctuary said before, we were actually looking for a PvP guild at first, but then this whole shenanigan with the few servers and where the streamers and where the some other communities are going, we felt like the RP PvP server will be the more mature, relaxed server for a more broad demographic, and I think that fits us quite well because, as Kilbert was saying, we're kind of we're going all the way, but we're not going there super fast or like in any hardcore way that makes you have to know live anything. And that's at least what I've heard, that what you find on an RP PvP server is more mature, more, broadly oriented in terms of what kind of players are here. So yeah.
Sweet. Right, so we'll go back over to Alliance. So Avi, do you want to introduce your guild?
Absolutely. So I'm Avi. I'm one of the founders of Pretento, together with Vilar, who's also with me here today,
Hello.
and Haskell. And we actually started our guild back in November of 2017, so that's quite a while ago. And I actually think that might make us the very first pure classic RP PvP guild, meaning that we started from scratch and didn't come from like retail or private servers. And at Pretento, you'll typically find a lot of selfless and community-driven members. Um, for instance, we're responsible for creating vanillafriends.com, the website where you can find your friends from the past. You also find our members on other large discords as admins and moderators. And in game, our plan is to engross ourselves fully in all aspects of Classic, which really made the game great. Oh shit! Did I just fall away? We're gonna have multiple raid groups, um, ranging from very hardcore groups to more social and alt raids. Um, one of our selling points is that we do not religiously follow the min-max and BIS sheets. So even for our progress rates, you're likely to see a Retribution Paladin running around, for instance, as long as they are able to carry their weight. Because we do want to progress through all the content in a timely fashion. Furthermore, we'll be doing lots of PvP. We have about, I think, 40 or 50 members who are aiming for rank 11 or above, with a handful going for 14. So we'll be doing lots of pre-mates. We'll be engaging heavily in the world PvP battles. We're really looking forward to raising the Horde capital cities to the ground as soon as we can get a raid team going. And finally, we're also an RP guild. So while RP isn't like we're not hardcore RP, we're not demanding our members to have a backstory and to actively engage in RP. Our RP officer, however, was like guild master of a very large RP guild back on Nostarius, and he's very great at creating events for both like more dedicated RPers where they can develop their characters and really engage with the world and the lore, but also more very light and newbie friendly RP events, which for a lot of people are also like an excuse to engage in world PvP. And they're a lot of fun, and we'll not only be hosting them for just the guild, but also for like the community. I think that's about everything I have to say. Vilar, do you want to add something to it?
No, I think that pretty much covers it. Like at the end of the day, we kind of want to work with the whole community as a whole. Also, Spelladin.
I had no idea you guys were behind the Friends website.
Vanilla Friends, yeah?
That's correct.
Yeah, good work on that.
Props for all the community stuff that you guys have done. You guys have done most of the work, it seems, on the Discords in particular.
Yeah, I do want to shout that out as well. So for anyone that doesn't know,
you're welcome.
Yeah,
very happy to.
Yeah, for anyone that doesn't know, these guys here just introduced themselves. They set up the Discords for both the Alliance and the Horde, and basically just got everything going. Which I think for us personally, when we looked into what the RP PvP community might be like, this server, having no one expected it to have actually ever been created, these guys were like ready to go, getting the community ready to get straight in. So we was really impressed, which is why we stuck around to find out more.
To add to that, we already set up like those Discords. I think
for every server, yeah.
more than a year ago. It basically served as like an RP PvP conclave for everyone that was interested in. And at the time, we got the message that we were likely not getting RP PvP, so we fought real hard. We've been really active on the Blizzard forums, the subreddit. We also had like a podcast with Countdown to Classic. So I'm very glad that all our combined efforts worked out in the end.
Yep, I definitely know. I saw some stuff out there online about the vote for the RP PvP servers to exist for WoW Classic. I took part in that vote, obviously, and we was drawn to know that this existed simply by you guys announcing like domain names and Discords and everything else. Was like shit, this has existed. Like the server names have existed for like less than 24 hours, and this community is like already all over it. So basically, we've got quite a few alliance guilds. So what I'm going to do is, just before we like move on to my own guild, I'm going to ask the next alliance guild to jump in. The issue that I'm having slightly is because some of you are seeing each other in different orders. I've not made a complete mental note of who's gone already. So if Saga's not gone yet, that's cool.
you're skipping over me.
I think it's Taiba that goes next.
Timer? Okay. Well,
Oh,
yeah, let's do that.
I feel slighted. I'm sorry. I have to say.
Go ahead, mate.
No, that's all right. I'll jump in.
It's because
So,
people joined
yes.
late. People joined late and moved
Yeah,
the order around.
and everyone can see different orders
Blame
and
it
stuff. Yeah, that's fair enough. So yes, I expect many K-comrades spread in chat right now. I am GM of the guild Praxis, and for those more politically inclined, you can probably guess what sort of guild we are immediately. In short, we are basically a bunch of cyber communists. We share everything. We're very big on collectivism. And I think it's fair to say, I don't think anyone's going to be slighted here by saying we're probably one of the more hardcore guilds on the server. We are intending on clearing Molten Core, or at least getting a good way into it week 1. And that's a big thing that I want to advertise here. We're looking to host the server's first MC. Our officer team will be leveling it together in dungeons, and we intend to get to 60 by the Saturday. And obviously, giving out the olive branch, everyone here and anyone listening is welcome to join us if you're one of those people who are going to be leveling quite quickly. So yeah, feel free to join in. We're hoping to get the sort of group server first of MC this week. Unlike some of the other guilds, we did come here not necessarily for RP. We did come here admittedly to avoid some of the queues and to dodge some of the bigger guilds. No shame, by the way. But we are very sympathetic to it. We really, really love the community aspect here. I don't want to spend too much time talking about my guild because the Discords that other people have set up have put in a lot more effort. It all looks great. If anyone is interested in the more hardcore raiding side of things, by all means, click on my name. I'll type in chat, and you can find the details of the guild below. And I'll just pass it back to you.
Praxis, I'm sorry, I have to cling in. Considering all you said, I'm just, I love you.
Hey, we're here. We've got to have some representation for comrades on the Alliance side, right, D?
Right. Is that you guys wrapped up?
Yeah, I've just did a quick hey guys in chat. If anyone wants to go on my Twitch and find details of the guild below, if they're interested in either joining or the group or the week 1 MC that we're all hosting. There's already talk of Horde ganking us in chat. We look forward to our friends. We look forward to it.
Well, I mean, week 1. Let's we'll talk about some of that stuff at the end as well. We got a Gauntlets Down section at the end here coming up.
Yeah. I didn't want to go too much into it, but yeah, we're laying claim to server first. But it'll be a very, very collectivist thing. There'll only be about 10, 15 of us maximum. We're hoping to make it a good Alliance server-wide effort.
If there's a guild going into if there's an Alliance guild going into MC on week 1 and the Horde's going to gank them, then I'm hoping that's like not level 40 Hordes, because that would be interesting. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, obviously, you guys, if you got your eyes set on Molten Core week 1, well, you probably are going to have to level in dungeons because you certainly ain't getting to
Already
Molten Core week
organised.
1 through Stranglethorn Vale.
Yeah, I know. Now that I've just put a massive bullseye on my guild name, yeah, I know. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of us dungeon leveling. Our officer team are going to be hosting the first pug, hopefully, and we're going to keep clear of you pesky Hordes for as long as possible.
Good luck, mate.
Cheers.
Yeah, good luck. So I suppose at this point I should shout out. Oh, actually, let's just do a quick check. Swerfy, you got comms working? Because we're not, obviously you didn't get a chance to introduce yourself yet.
Yeah, all working.
Right, cool. You can spare me the embarrassment of introducing Lustrum right now. Do you wanna jump in now? Because obviously you're in as a Horde as well.
Yeah, I'll be quick. There's a lot of people here.
That's all good. You can you take it away for your guild, and we'll discuss RP friendly guild names later on in the show.
Oh yeah, no worries. So we'll see how this goes. All right. So what's up, Zandalar? My name's Ken, and I look after the hot single females. It's a hard job, but someone's got to do it. So we're quite an RP light guild, and like most of you, we've come here to dodge the queues mainly, as a lot of you guys have already mentioned. We're just an old retail guild, really. Just coming to give it a go, see what it's like. A lot of us haven't played it before, so it's like a new challenge, really, a new adventure for us all, like you guys did probably many years ago. Hoping to have multiple raid teams because we are quite a big community for all types of players, all skill levels. And it's just a load of jokes, really. It's constant chatting in the Discord. No like one raid leader in a raid. It's just see how it flows, see how it goes. Sort of like being in the pub, just having a laugh. But we are very much interested in the events that you guys are doing for the server. Like your world PvP events that were mentioned here, and maybe possibly delving into a little bit of RP if some of the guys want to. Yeah, we just want to make our name for ourselves, really. Whether it's oh, look at them, like they're awesome, or whether it's look at these guys are a bunch of jokers. But either way, we just can't wait to start. Can't wait to be here, and can't wait to see you guys in game.
So just to clarify, is female characters mandatory for the guild then? Or is
Still
that built into the name?
still up for discussion at the moment. We do have quite a lot of girls that play for the guild. So obviously there will be some around, but I mean someone's got to look after them.
Mate, can you do us a favour in our guild, right? There's quite a few people who want to roll male human, and I've told them they'll be purged if they do. Can you invite them to your guild first, force them to roll female, and then we can poach them, yeah?
That's great. I like that.
And as part of the RP rules, it has to be females.
Cool. If that's your guild wrapped up, I'll throw that back to Alliance, and I'm guessing at this point I can say the same name I said last time and actually get it right. So that'll be Florence for Saga.
Yeah, that'll be me. Yeah. Okay. First of all, I think this is a great initiative, but let's move on. I'll tell you a little bit about Saga. So, like Kurt said, I'm Florence. I'm the GM of Saga. I made the guild with a couple of friends. We actually come from an RP realm, Argentine. I'm sure most of you know it. The idea was to create a guild that basically recaptures the spark of vanilla. I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about when I say that. So the idea was to make a guild that basically promotes like a really friendly environment. Like we want people to have fun, but we also want to get somewhere. So like we really like a fine balance between non-toxicity, maturity, and basically having a good time. So what we're going to do is we intend to clear MC, Oni, obviously. We're going to clear everything eventually. But our focus isn't just on raiding. We're also going to be doing PvP. Most of us really love PvP, world PvP. And if there are any events going to go on in that direction, then we're definitely going to attend. That said, the initial reason we actually chose Zandalar Tribe is to dodge the queues. I'm sure we're not the only ones in that main train of thought. So as far as roleplay is concerned, I know we have a couple of people in the guild that are into that, but it's definitely not our focus. That said, I hope to change that a bit in the future. So hopefully we'll be seeing more people from Saga actually indulging in RP, but we'll definitely be RP friendly. I'm going to make sure that everybody understands like this is an RP PvP realm. It's important that you don't disrupt PvP. What else? Oh yeah, so we're also going to be hosting a duel tournament. I know that there was another guild. I think it was Praxis. Is that right?
What was that, Matt? About
dueling tournament.
Oh, I'm not sure. I haven't heard about it.
I was one of the ones that put it forward as well.
Oh, there you
Over
go.
Sanctuary.
I mean, I'm up for it. Don't get me wrong. This is the first I've heard of it, but sure, why not?
Yeah, we're definitely interested in like putting something together. So if that interests you, either drop me or Sparkle, my officer, a line. Other than that, I'm actually really happy to be here. I think this is a great community. It's one of the main reasons we picked this. So let's all have a good time.
Right. I should probably introduce Lustrum GG then. Right, so our guild is, I'm going to say, mostly friends and family. So basically, we're a group of players from Classic, Burning Crusade, Wrath of the Lich King. I'm not going to name other expansions, promise. So basically, we've got a group of friends that sort of segmented off at different expansions, made new friends, got back together, that sort of thing. So we first set up a Lustrum raiding guild in Kata and had a good time. Kata raiding was a bit more challenging than what people were used to in Wrath of the Lich King. And I think we pretty much skipped Pandaland, came back around WOD, and yeah, basically Classic's the next thing that we're playing since then as a guild and not just like random individual players. But we managed to get quite a strong group of people initially together for like the leveling process and dungeons and gearing up for raiding and everything else. And we was quite well set up with IT and or like the Discord side of things initially, which was why when the servers were announced and everyone had an option of essentially 3 PvP servers, we looked at the RP PvP server as a third option, which a lot of like typical PvPers might not do that. And we thought, well, you know what, we're going to have this issue where there's going to be mob servers, it's not going to be fun to play, and it's going to be full of trolls, Spurge Lords, and everything else that we have in 2019. And this the RP PvP community had quite a good rep from the outside for being a mature, sort of friendlier player base. So yeah, we had a look at that, and what we didn't know was that some of our guild members at the time that kind of merged into us from trying to set up their own guild, that there's some prejudice for RPers amongst that group of players, which immediately, even looking at the Discord, they was off. So they're on Shazra now with like 4-hour logging queues and whatever else. But we're here. We kind of marched onto the Discord with the Alliance, kind of desperate to hand it over to someone because they didn't want to be managing 2 Discords simultaneously. We've got some sort of experience with that, and because our guild like IT was well set, we kind of stepped up to the plate there to try and take over. So we've seen a lot of good things with the community, and we thought, we'll try and run this event here to hear more about what everyone's all about in their respective guilds. So information specific to just Lustrum then is that we're looking to for at least the first 3 phases of the game to be doing friends and family plus new friends that we're making game casual raiding over the weekends. We've all done content at quite competitive levels before, but as a player base we're probably quite we're older, we're more mature, perhaps don't have the free time to be doing 5 nights a week anymore, and it is classic, like for some of us we've done it before, so we're going to enjoy doing that over a weekend. And that's probably us, and I think as the game progresses we'll lean more into the PvP as well, and we'll see what all the RP stuff's about as we go along. So I'm going to say that's it for Lustrum for now. Who do we want to do next on the Alliance? Because I think I've seen some names move around again.
Oh Christ, people have moved around. Shit, I don't know.
Well, for me, it's me on the list.
What about Ted? Have we done Sanctuary?
Ted was first.
Yeah, it was the
I was
first one.
first.
Right, okay, yeah, let's go with Fiend then. For
Good host,
SC.
chat.
Yeah, awesome. So we are the Scarlet Crusade. Yeah, literally the Scarlet Crusade as a guild. We're a project started by 2 guys, me, Thean, and my co-GM, Killian. We're a guild looking to do raid progression, world PvP, and some light RP events in the future. To keep our theme cohesive, we're really only gonna accept human characters. A few exceptions were made initially, but that's what we're going for. We allow meme specs, just in the spirit like Avi said. You just gotta make sure that you carry your weight if you're gonna do something like that. And contrary to Praxis, we very much allow human males and encourage them.
Disgusting, by the way.
Yeah, if you want in, don't forget to get your Scarlet Tabard before joining, and join us in Purging the Undead. That's all for me.
Should we jump to the next alliance one, and then I'll do like my quick short blats of some of the guys that couldn't make it from.
Go for it.
So IBS, right?
Yeah, that's correct. IBS.
As you told me before, I mean, it sounds like you got issues, man.
Well, one of our viable weapons is definitely going to be Dragon's Breath Chili, simply because of that acronym. But well, it's actually we are the Ironforge Bomb Squad, and we're going to be the guys with the most explosives on the server. And so initially, I planned this out as just being like a random idea of seeing how it goes, how many people I could interest in this, and now that I actually found a couple of people, I started to think, okay, so what do I want to make this like? And I've decided we're going to have very regular world PvP, simply because explosives are very potent. And I mean, you all know that. So that's going to be one big part of what we're trying to do. And we're definitely also going to go raiding. Just like, God, what other goals? The Scarlet Crusade and was it Portento? I don't remember. We take meme specs. It's really not that big of a deal for us because we honestly believe it's going to be really difficult to get a full guild-only raid group. So, I mean, we're open for collaborations, be it raids, be it PvP. In terms of role playing, so we specifically set the threshold for role playing extremely low. So everybody who is like an RP beginner is very happy to join. We don't have any big requirements. We don't require to have like a massive backstory or to have like years of experience. Basically, just think of 2 to 3 traits for a character that you live out whenever you think it's good to do so. And other than that, basically just go with the flow and just see where this takes us. And we'll definitely aim for ambushing some guilds at Blackrock Mountain to just blow them to pieces with like a bunch of Zappa charges.
Did you just cut off or?
No, that's actually it.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool, man. So just like if I do a quick roll call sort of thing, I'm looking that I've got 2 to 3 alliance guilds left to go.
You have Dark Portal, Reft, and Alliance. To be honest,
well, I think Dog and
that's MC, isn't it?
Muscle Club.
Yeah.
Oh god, that's Muscle Club, mate. You can't be leaving that out.
Yeah, can we all
Gotta get those left.
Yeah, come
Can
on.
we like do an RP voice for this?
I might leave for Muscle Club. Sorry, Praxis lads.
Excuse me, mate.
Tell you what, let's get Muscle Club out of the way, right?
What do you mean out of the way? You got.
What do you mean out of the way? Is that sounds a bit racist, yeah?
Carlin's out, boys.
All right, yeah.
Right. So, Dog, do you want to just introduce us, mate?
All right. I'm Dog. This is Scumbag. We go by some very simple. We hate the Horde. We hate the Gravediggers. We hate the Undead. Love me, mum. Love the Lions Pride Inn. Love the Alliance. Simple as.
Simple as, lads.
Simple as.
Up the Lion's Pride.
Well, lads, this is the bit where I say we reclaim the North and defeat Gravediggers because they took over Lordaeron and that. And then we do a little bit of raiding and a little bit of PvP. But the thing is, we like our peers. And we go around flexing in the Alliance cities, looking to pick up some lifters. And if you can bench press, that's good. You don't need to be female. You don't need to be male. we're gender neutral, all that sort of malarkey, and yeah, solid lads. That's it.
That's it. Yeah, we're just gonna flex on the Gravediggers day one every day.
We're not racist, lads. If we are, we just love our Darnissian blue. That's all we need. That's all we need. Ramsey Rum, Darnissian blue.
Us.
And if we ever catch them bloody Gravediggers in Stranglethorn Vale, we'll knock them over the bonds.
That's it.
That's it.
Simple as. That's us.
Simple as.
Best guild, by the way.
Cool. So what I'll do now is I'll just plug one or two of the Horde guilds that wanted to come to this but couldn't quite make.
We still have a few left.
Oh, let's just So yeah, if you just give me 1 second so I can grab the info. I think no, it's just me left, right?
Left, right, yes.
Horde. Did someone appear?
No, that was just my voice.
Oh, okay. Well, it's just you confused me when they said there's one of us left because no, we've gone through everyone on the Horde that's here. So I'm gonna just give a shout out to Tribunal if you just give me 1 second.
That's all right. Shut them last two out.
It's all right.
It's gone a bit quiet, hasn't it?
There we go. Right. Okay. So I'm just going to give a quick shout out to Tribunal, which is a PvP focused guild on the Horde side. I'm going to probably get the pronunciation slightly wrong, or pronunciation rather, for Grieve is the guild master. I've had a few chats with him. They're pretty cool guys on the Horde side. If you're wanting to get into PvP for city raids, ranking, and pre-mades, they're definitely guys to look up. I've had a few communications, like I say, with the GM. I think our guild will probably work closely with them on some stuff as well. But yeah, Horde side PvP. If that's your focus, you probably want to hook these guys up and see what they're all about. Obviously, they've got the guild recruitment ads in the section on the Discord, so I'll leave it at that. But as a special request from the GM there to see if I could give him a shout out because he was driving and he just couldn't make this podcast, unfortunately. So I'll stop there, and I think we've got like 1 or 2 alliance.
Yeah, Curtis, I think I'm getting some feedback saying you're a bit quiet, mate.
Yeah, I keep moving my mic out of the way so I can have a drink, and then quite not putting it back.
Well,
But
that's all right. That's important.
yeah, if you didn't hear me, Tribunal, PvP, Horde, definitely worth having a chat with the GM if that's your thing. So I'll hand over to Dark Portal.
Greetings, everyone. I'm Guildmaster of Dark Portal, a guild you'll probably see in-game as a Hamach, and happy to hear all of you today. We are a semi-hardcore guild, not really into RP, as many we came here to avoid the queues, but for sure we will respect anyone doing it, of course. Originally, we are from 2009 Project 60, Russian guild, that evolved to a full-fledged guild, closer to classical. We are not going to do any first week clears, of course, not setting any deadlines for leveling, but we still want to rate at above average level. And we have members able to do so, as many of us have seen old Naxxramas, many of us are mythic raiders from some contents. So we are pretty sure we will be able to do it. So basically we are former hardcore raiders that want to play a bit more, relatively of course, and recruiting people with same attitude. About server choice, few words. Zandalar tribe was actually our last resort choice, but we decided to stay here as apparently from our research it has best community of all, not filled with too much private server guilds or too toxic people. So we hope to have a great time with all of you here. That's it.
I love your positivity.
Such enthusiasm.
Actually,
Yeah,
as far as I
that's-
see,
It made me feel really nice, actually. Thanks for
It
that.
did really. Yeah, that's how I was feeling.
ASMR stream? What?
as far as I
Right.
see, so many guilds are running away from the queues, and eventually, I think that will lead to queues.
Well, I mean, maybe I was a bit harsh on my guild's description. No one in the guild is particularly looking for RP, but if most of whom have played on an RP PvP server before, and they may dabble, and they are very, very happy to be part of the community.
Few more words, as I have seen in tweet chat about Russian servers. Yes, we do have about 40% of our roster as Russians, but we are international guild, so we have a very big roster, and main communication for guild is on English. So it was only choice to came at you.
And do you run an ASMR channel?
Yeah, it seems like this server will have 2 Russian guilds, one for the Horde and one for Alliance. I mean, not Russian, but that will have a huge percentage of Russian players. And I don't want to say for Dark Portal, but as for our guilds, Blaze and Sunrise, I can say that we rolled for English bookmark not because we just want English client. We just wanted to play role-playing PvP server, and we totally respect the rules of the policy, how to just communicate in the chat, so you will not see Russian texts and chats from my guildmates. And all I can say that we open for any guildmates from any country. We have newcomers from Sweden, from Spain. So we're basically international guilds. Just the core, I mean, maybe 10, 15 players are from Russia, but we are basically international guild, and we'll of course respect the rules of the server in royal playing terms and in language terms, of course.
I thought you said you were not going to give away your guild name till the end of the stream.
Well, I mean, yeah, they didn't realize that we can all see that when they talk.
Times change.
Damn it! All right. I'll clean it out with a joke. How does Naxxramas fly? With its 4 wings, of course.
Magic.
That's disgraceful.
Genius.
This is like a dad
Nice.
check, right?
Cool. So, guys, what we're going to do now, right, is obviously we're kind of chatting freely there. So we've done the guild announcements. We've actually like smashed a whole hour of introducing ourselves, which is like really good and hilarious at the same time. So we've got kind of 9 loose topic titles to talk over. So what I'll say before we go into those is if you need to bail, if you've got stuff to do, real life, family, or whatever before the game launches, and you can't hang around, now would be a good time to drop out if you want to. But I would, I'd love to hear what opinions people have about the topics that we've got set and that we've pinned in the discussion section, especially when it comes to like the role play and stuff like that. If if you've got feedback, that's really appreciated, because that's information that we can't really contribute towards the community or to other players wanting to have a bit of an interest in what RP PvP is all about. So what we're probably going to do is I'm going to jump now into the projects and just talk quickly about what's going on Zandalar Tribe, and yeah, I'm going to basically cover some of that. It's a bit announcement-y, so there probably isn't much to say. But then we'll move on to the next topic shortly after.
Yeah, it's worth saying when you're saying about dropping out. I'm going to fuck up my sleep schedule so that I can wake up for launch. So I'll be gone in about half an hour, but I'd love to talk about the projects first. Or listen to what you have to say, rather.
Cool. Remember, for everybody listening, that this is an extremely unhealthy behavior, and this should not be condoned.
Absolutely not. I do not
Stay
condone
hydrated,
anyone
sleep
in
well,
chat, yes.
look after yourself.
Stay hydrated. This is a threat.
Drink coffee. Drink lots of coffee.
Remember to take a lot of showers before launch. You don't have to shower during the first 2 weeks.
Smart man, smart man.
See what you do. You get a bucket of water and you just have a sponge.
Sponge bath. Sponge bath.
Moving on.
That's the new thing right there.
Man bathroom.
Right. So I'm going to just cover some of these projects, right? So I'll be kind of brief, but I'm going to explain in my limited understanding of what we're trying to achieve with some of the projects that the community is doing. Now, there's going to be some like tech wizardry in there of where I don't completely understand what stages we're at in some of the development of those projects, but overall, if I can give some credit to people doing the work and kind of announce some of the stuff that's happening, I think that'd be really great for both the community and the people actually working on it as well, to just get a little bit of encouragement and thanks for what it is they're trying to do for everyone else. So what I'll say is, obviously we've got subreddit for Zandalar tribe, and I think at the start we said who the guys were that were looking after that, so I want to just shout out that name.
Are you quickly finding the name?
No, I'm not quickly finding the name. Someone was talking about it like 10 minutes ago.
So we'll be going point by point, like projects.
The guys running the Zandalar tribe subreddit, Henry919 and Cameron. If I know they're after someone for CSS for tarting up the subreddit, so any viewers, if you like CSS, feel free to get in contact with them, because I believe they're still after someone for CSS.
Yeah, they are.
Awesome. Yeah, there you go. So that's the guys. That's what they need. And obviously the Zandalar tribe subreddit. If you're a Reddit user, subscribe to that and join in with the conversations on there as well. So that's good. Thank you for giving me those names, because that's something I've only been aware about for the last few days. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to look. So we've got like a web dev Discord team just for different guild masters and mods and everyone that's kind of volunteering to try and build some community stuff. So I'm going to give a shout out quickly to a couple of names, and they're probably going to appear different on their own Discords, but I'm just going to say thank you anyway. So, and you know what? I'm going to pronounce some of these wrong. Angie Vera, Buck Milligan, Deathwatch, Dog is obviously a representative for the neutral Discord. Guy who plays Harwin, which is Alvi, who's representative for the Alliance Discord. Kamarian, Crust, obviously helping me out with the Horde Discord and also hosting. I'm not going to shout myself out. We've got Pixel on there. We've got Axel Price. We've got Haskell, Henry, 919, Liggles, Noxnary, and Safax. So basically, there's a team of people, right? And they're busy doing web dev stuff to present to the community some extra services for all the role play, the events. And I think the big announcement is that we're actually, before I joined the Discords, the community here, especially on the Alliance side, went through the process of reserving domain names. And Crust's helping those guys out with hosting for the back end for the web page. So there's going to be and it exists. It is public as of today, I believe. So there is a zandalartribe.eu webpage, which is going to have news feeds on for both Alliance and Horde. There's like a Hall of Fame section that's going to have like class first level 60s. So for those people that are hardcore going to be gunning for that, if you need a little bit of extra motivation, you're going to be recorded like in a Hall of Fame for the server, and I think that's pretty cool. That's definitely worth. If you was going to do it anyway, that's perhaps a little bit more encouragement. So I don't think the webpage is completely finished and polished, but it is functional. It's all there, and it's going to be basically, if you're a writer, an RP writer, and you want to write up about events or plan events, you're going to be able to use the Zandalar Tribe EU webpage to facilitate that. And as it's a bit more polished, we'll link that across all the Discords, and that'll be there basically as a resource for the community to use. I think it looks great already. There's a little bit more work going into it, and what I'm going to do now is, if there's anyone in this channel that just wants to talk about that in any specific more detail than I just did then, I'll just allow you to do that, because there's some people here that probably know a bit more about what's been going on with that than myself.
I guess I can lead out before I have to head off with sort of what's going. So I'd like to thank, obviously, Crust, first of all, for the hosting. That's one critical bit, because basically I'm useless. I just spend money on paying for the domains, and also to Buck for doing all the dev work, who is sort of heading up the dev team. So if people are interested in helping out with running a community site, then feel free to get in contact with us, because the more the merrier. My view is I'd rather have too many people to do the jobs than not enough people to do the jobs. So
Buck's not in the chat with us now, but big kudos to Buck, because like, not only has he been heavily modding the Discord for me while I'm like at work and basically not doing too much with it, but he's also been putting some serious hours into designing like the WordPress site and everything else. And obviously, like you said, yeah, Crust is doing the hosting and also doing like quite a bit of back end stuff behind the scenes to help make the site a bit more functional and secure and things like that.
Any people who are artists out there watching, if you're interested, we're happy to work with you. If you want to say put any of your art on the site and so on, if like, especially if it's like Zandalar Tribe related and so on, or WoW related, we're happy to like help flesh out the site with some art and so on. If you want to get things put up on there. Also, we're going to be looking at ways so we can expand the community portion and news portion. So getting content put up by the player base, as well as if you look on the website, we have a few feature areas which will expand as the game launches, which will be the champions of both factions. So this is probably going to be like the first 12, 13 people of every class that reach 60. Just to sort of show the early reachers, and then we'll move on to, and then we'll have like progression for each faction for which raids, which groups have cleared a raid first. So the idea will be, okay, a raid team will clear MC on for the Alliance. They will give us the list of their members who were in the raid and their reserves. My firm belief is that the people who were like the 10 people who have had to sit on their ass for 5 hours or so for someone to first clear a raid should also be on that list.
Hi, cheers lads for all the hard work. I've only just encountered it after coming here, probably a bit after you guys, but looking at all the community stuff you do, including that lovely shiny website I just clicked in chat, and the Discord, etc. Every single one of you, stars. Good effort.
Just to answer Mex's question in chat, we won't have a forum just because we want to avoid having accounts on the website, because there is GDPR issues with that and so on, which we don't want to have to deal with. Obviously, we will look to expand, maybe having like a character page and stuff like that, and allowing people to like send content to be put up. But at the moment, we're looking at an approved only system. We're also going to look at ways to like promote people writing up news stories for us to put on here as well. but everything's sort of a work in progress, especially because we want to be able to say maybe find rewards in terms of in-game goal we'll give people possibly if we're writing short stories, but a lot of it's up in the air until we can get like a solid idea of how many people are going to work with us and so on.
Also, I think Blizzard's realm forms are coming out tomorrow.
Yeah.
So you'll have realm specific forms anyway. Shall we go on to the next bit, RP PvP?
Yeah, so well, basically on that project bit there, just before we push on, so what I've got there in that sort of section is a community plan and complete projects. Obviously, we just touched on that. The web page there is the heavy hitter. I know we have spent dev time looking at wikis and forums, and some of that's kind of benched because the focus is on the web page. So whatever routes we take with those other activities afterwards will come to fruition eventually or not happen at all. But in terms of world events and PvP tournaments, as a project now, a couple of people mentioned earlier that they were looking at doing a dueling tournament. I know on the Horde side that's something that our guild would definitely be interested in either running one at some point. Not that we've made plans yet, but I know you've got to actually beat me in a duel to even join our guild. So, which was the Alliance Guild earlier that was talking about doing a PvP tournament? Or have they shot off already?
Well, my name was mentioned, but it wasn't us. Well, we're happy to help out though.
I think it was initially myself and Florence from Sega that would mention it. I'm sure we could organise something in Gurabashi Arena, definitely, between both Alliance and Horde.
Oh yeah, I'm sure we
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I've had a couple of DMs and stuff off of different guilds as well, saying that like by X week or X days, like South Shore's going to burn to the ground, and I'm like, all right, okay, I'm game for that. So I mean, you Alliance guys need to watch out, but like the world events are going to happen. I think a lot of stuff's going to be fairly organic in phase one as well, and obviously we don't know from Blizzard how long the phases are going to last. So we could be looking at doing city raids till like late fall into or autumn for us Europeans, yeah, into winter. We don't know how long the phases are going to last, but I think there's going to be a lot of city raids, and I think PvP tournaments would be amazing. The Horde's going to definitely do some, because if they don't, like we're going to do it, and it's good to see the Alliance are interested. And hell, if someone wants to run a dueling tournament, it's going to be carnage. But credit to them if someone's got the motivation to go for it.
I volunteer as tribute to try and organise that shit show.
Good luck.
Good on you, lad. I'll support you.
Yeah, okay.
I'll support you.
Just before I dash off, Kurt, sorry to be cheeky. I'm not sure if this really comes under this this section, but I was PM'd by a good few people after our guild advert about the pug that I was organising for the server first MC for week one. Yeah, if you are wanting to get in touch, people are saying that they couldn't click my name on Twitch or whatever. I'll post it again, and just join the Discord below. I've had about 5 different people message me saying, "Oh, I can't join. I went in on that." So I thought I'd just jump in and say that before I have to disappear and fuck my sleep up.
Cool.
Apologies.
No, that's fine. That's all good. Like, yeah, actually, raiding can be a world event, especially when you've
It's going to be very collaborative. It's going to be really cool to
got
play
to
with
get
all you.
40 people together. It's not retail, is it? Shall we push on to the next topic then? So the next topic, right? I'll give a little bit of introduction, because the question itself, I had a few feedback from people wanting to take part. They didn't really understand what it meant. So the question is the RP PvP community misunderstood? And the pretext to that is you make of that question what you want and answer it in the way that you believe that question perhaps applies to you. But for our guild, obviously, just for thinking about coming here, we bled some members. So we was like, well, what was all that about? We didn't even understand why people would have an issue with some people like RPing, in an inn somewhere that's completely not affecting their gameplay. So that's why we got that question in there. And I think it leads on to some of the other stuff to like streamers and YouTubers and things later on as well. So I'm gonna open it up to the room. If you want to jump in and say something, crack on, and we'll see what the general sort of opinion is.
I can say something.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Because as I mentioned, we were initially gonna land on a PvP server, and then we chose this one because of the reasons stated before. And we did have some bias among some of our guild members at first because they were very afraid of how forced you would be to do all kinds of weird things in the middle of any gameplay, like walking around manually and in the walk mode and having to join discussions or not being able to interact with people that were doing all kinds of RP dialogues and stuff, so they felt like they were forced upon to do a lot of things that isn't done a lot in World of Warcraft for a lot of years. I mean, even during vanilla back in the day, RP kind of faded away at some point before BC came out. That's my experience, anyways. I was on an RP server, so I feel like I was able to tell a lot of people how it's it's a volunteer thing, and it's what you make of it, and it's not forced upon you. It's not a part of doing dungeons or anything unless you want it to be, and then you find the people that you want to do it with beforehand and so on. But a lot of concerns about is it everybody all the time, or what is it, what's the level of commitment to the RP letters on the. And I guess I'm interested to hear from some of you guys who are maybe more focused on RP than we are. What you feel like would be, the good
I mean, it wasn't really a
behavior
problem.
from more. Excuse me.
It wasn't really a problem for our guilds. We're all Argent Dawn refugees.
Yeah, I would agree on that one.
So I feel the best thing to say is that end of the day, RPPP is doing different things to different people, and as long as we all respect each other and follow kind of the preset rules Blizz do in terms of naming and just generally not being arses to each other, of like there's playing your character and there's being a tit. And at the end of the day, I think we're all going to be sensible adults here, because at the end of the day, adults, like, I think we'll be play a sensible and have a sense, like, at the end of the day, we can do this together, and we know that we'll, after this, once we're in game, it doesn't matter if we see one of the Horde guild leaders here character, we're still going to go, does it fit my character, or does it fit what I want to do to go and beat this guy's skull in?
Oh, you mean try, yeah.
I try, but I mean, no. I'm playing a paladin, so I have 3 combat resets, and
I don't think Bubble Hearth counts.
No, bubble, heal, lay on hands, and then my warrior buddy.
Nothing more powerful than Muscle Club's fists. That's it. Simple as.
Simple as.
But it's nice to hear, and yeah, I agree. It's all about respecting what people want to do, and to me, anyway, I feel like the RPPVP label is more of a hybrid than a specific third or fourth branch, however you want to look at it. It's like you can come here to do both things, but it's not like, because if it was like RPPVP as a complete forced label, you would have to be in RP fights all the time, right? And that's not what the label is stating. It's a place for people to go and know where they. Sorry, it's a place for people to go to know what they're gonna get or know what they want to do, and then this is the place for them to live out that fantasy. It being PvP or RP. That's my viewpoint, anyway.
I mean, in that regard, I would actually say that the PvP is actually an extension of the RP. And I mean, honestly, to answer the initial question, I don't think it suffers from a misunderstanding, but rather from a, just people have this misconception, and they all think that we all talk like, medieval upper class, and then we're like sucky drooling PvP noobs or some shit. And I mean, yeah, some people do talk a bit over the edge, but it's like I feel like RP PvP is like most for people who just like to take this in character shit talking about the other faction a bit over the top, who want to follow that up with some actions. And
I do agree on that one. I think you can never get a second first impression, and I think when some person rolls on an RP server for the first time, especially if you create a human and you're greeted with the absolute state that is Goldshire, I think that puts a lot of people off, and it does have this complete perception that it's like, oh god, what am I getting myself into? And then it goes from one spec to the other when you get to Stormwind.
Yeah.
And then it's like you're greeted with like by the light I am here, and it's like, well, I've just gone from this to the other side of Stormwind.
You go from Pornshire to the city cathedral in Stormwind, and it's a bit of a drastic.
There's a random side question then, just while we're slightly on the topic, because we're going to move into role play rules and etiquette sort of thing next anyway. But I was just going to say, do you think that entry into like the role play side of the community is easier on the Alliance side?
I think so.
I would kind of like to make a different point regarding this. Like, a lot of people think that humans, dwarves, gnomes are really easy. Technically, if you look really deep into the lore, they're actually incredibly hard to roleplay if you weren't using your stereotypical medievalness to it, especially for dwarves. Whereas the trolls and Tauron, they're reasonably simple. The horde races are actually not too hard to roleplay because they kind of have their fixed stereotype. Whereas the Alliance factions, you're like, we can stereotype it based on real life, but you can't, like, in truth, there's a huge amount of detail in them. Like, for example, the humans are actually lore-wise reasonably racist, even to their own faction. Like, if you read any of the RPG books, the dwarves and the night elves and the gnomes all get along reasonably well, but the humans, because their lifespans are so short, they're pretty much massive arseholes a lot of the time, especially in the upper echelons and politics.
And I guess like Warcraft lore, humans aren't just one entity, are they?
Multiple factions, yeah.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think it is easier for the Alliance because you're role playing a human, whereas
like you are a
the
human,
Horde,
you're role playing a human. It's
Yeah.
not overly that difficult.
For me,
so
the
like if
Horde,
I'm
it's
playing
like-
Troll, I can say Mon at the end of every sentence, but it doesn't necessarily make me an RP.
Yeah, and none of the Horde faction. It's kind of like how would you describe it? It's like a jumbled together group of people who are all sort of outcast. Which is a bit more different than the Alliance, which are all just they're together and that's it. There's no real tension between any of the groups unless you go deeper into the lore.
Yeah, not only that, it's also humanoid races are probably just more relatable to most people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And if you want to have a character called Dave, it's an option.
Yeah.
Listen,
fair.
Big Dave loves the local.
Have we got
Simple
any
as.
Daves out there?
You said that horde races are more stereotypic. So I agree with you in terms of role playing in fantasy worlds. Yeah, maybe. But I just want to add some points to this because, personally, I never played undead race before, and I plan to play as an undead mage. Personally, when I dive deeper into the undead lore and Horde's role-playing book and all other role-playing stuff that exists about World of Warcraft, I just realized that it can be not just typical, evil undead that hates everyone. I actually prefer to be the guy who just is hated by everyone for reasons he doesn't even can remember. And in living in the world that really hates you, maybe except some horde races that give you a chance to become a part of horde community, but without trusting you too much, it's a very interesting starting point how you can I know just make the real character from your undead. It's just an option. So you just realizing that all you loved and that all your principles, all your values, everyone you loved, they already hate you if they are still alive, and you have to live with this, with real after realizing that you can never get back to your previous life.
Yeah, the undead is probably one of the most, like, if you read the lore completely, are one of the more like deeply like how you have so many options with the undead. It's definitely something that's very interesting.
Cool. So that was like a little bit of a throw-in unplanned topic there. So just rules and etiquette. Is anyone who's overly familiar with naming policies and general RP etiquette or use of add-ons just want to kind of briefly outline that? I think it's probably something we don't need to overly cover, because if we put too much information to it, you're just gonna like scare people away from the community possibly. But I kind of think that, you know, within the Discord groups that we've got, if anyone wants to join our Discords, the communities that we've got on the Discords are very friendly with answering questions in terms of how to RP. But if someone just wanted to cover the topic or chip in there with rules etiquette and naming policies, that'd be really cool thing to cover.
I would probably point people towards Velifar. Velifar is also nice enough to be in chat going, send questions to me. So anyone in chat, feel free to send a message to Velifar. Like, generally, Blizzard are quite good with how they state their naming policies. So honestly, just look on the naming policy. That will be a better read than one of us giving our impression of it than anything.
Yeah, Valthor's a bit of a massive nerd with lore and all that stuff. So questions towards Val.
More like massive legend.
I think on the Horde side, we've got the naming stuff pinned in like general and things like that. So it's definitely something we can pin in a few more channels on launch and stuff. Does anyone want to just lay down what usually happens if someone with an obscure name takes it upon themselves to repeatedly gank a group of people, and that person just happens to have like 19 or 20 other friends?
Well, it's not necessarily completely automated, the system, but obviously what you've got to remember is that if you have got if you make yourself visible, people are more likely to notice things. Like in real life, for example, you commit a crime now and no one finds out, technically you haven't done anything wrong, arguably. And if you do it visibly in the open, then you get caught.
Okay, so I've known some people say to me like they roll a character on an RP server and they got forced to have a name change by Blizzard, and I'm like, well, that seems pretty unfair. What was your name? And they're like, well, my name was Cookie Monster, and I was corpse camping someone, and I'm like, well, like what? How did you expect that to go?
I think that in Classic we have that name generator, and it seems good. Not so many names there, but if you just can't create some unique name for your own character, it can help a bit.
Cool. So just part of that then is I mentioned that basically, you know, I've seen people talking about these role play add-ons. I've got absolutely zero experience with them, and I'm sure there's a lot of other people that don't. But I am told that they communicate with each other quite well, and it doesn't necessarily matter which one you use. But if you're not using one, then you're not necessarily being flagged as an RPA to other people, so you'd probably just be left alone anyway. Does that
Just
sound
as
about
a
right?
quick note in that, because Blizzard's changing the API for this looking for group add-on, which communicates with people, it's changing the way the client talks to each other. And I don't know which way the RP add-ons talk to each other, but it might break that for launch.
Yeah, it's looking like they're like disabling broadcasts over the general channels, but like local chat will still broadcast. So like trade chat and stuff.
So we had a look into some of that today, and the blue posts about anti-looking for group add-on kind of thing and what effect that has on the RP. I've seen some people talking about it, and they were saying that you probably expect to lose some functionality, but parts of it might work. But obviously, I don't actually understand how those add-ons work in the first place because I've never used one. So,
like in my opinion, I don't massively care about add-ons in my view. Like they help, and especially in WoW where the etiquette has become that if someone has an add-on, you want to target them for roleplay. I'm in a much firm belief from where I've roleplayed in games is that just throw stuff out occasionally, just give occasional interactions in the game environment, and you'll bump into people that way. I like it to be fluid rather than say this kind of like, oh, whisper out of character. Oh, do you want to do some roleplay type thing? I just rather just throw it all out there and just get on with it. Just to go like play your character if you want to. But if the same thing, if you don't want to play your character for one day because you've got other stuff on, or you've just come back from a stressful day at work and you just want to grind some mobs, then just say sorry, just not interested today. Like at the end of the day, we're here to play a game and have fun, and we're not here to play and role play 24/7. Some of us will want to role play 24/7, and that's up to them. But if you don't want to role play 24/7, feel free to say sorry. I just don't want to.
Yeah, and just as a side note, I think MRP and TRP have an option to say whether you're in character or out of character. If you want to be approached, if you don't want to be approached, if you don't want to be bothered.
is it true that you can rename your character essentially with some of these add-ons?
You can, yeah. It shows up when you hover over people and in the chat as well, I believe. Well, it does in retail anyway. I don't know about.
So on the Horde side, like all the trolls that just couldn't get an apostrophe in the middle of the name somewhere have now got the option.
Yeah, they can do that. So my name in game is actually Dog, so obviously I have to give it like a real name and make that a nickname. That add-on will let me do that.
Right. Okay. So I mean, could you still use the add-on just to like play around with that and give your character like a full name if you wanted to that you wouldn't have been able to do in the game normally?
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone else with the add-on should be able to read it. As I said, I don't know if the two add-ons will be able to speak to each other with the new API update. That's to be seen.
Cool. Well, yeah, they can probably just speak to each other in /say anyway. But yeah, we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see. It's probably best not to overjudge what blue posts are going to do. So we'll move on to the next topic because this one's quite tasty. If we thought,
sorry, can I just sorry?
Oh yeah, go on, Ted.
It's just I'm looking in the Twitch chat and people asking some questions about like, oh, is this name right? Is this name okay? Just for those guys, just as a quick reference, the Blizzard website like their roleplay naming policy has basically 3 rules if anyone's curious. So any non-medieval or fantasy names aren't allowed. So like if you call your character like Slip and Slide, any names that reference well-known people, characters, brands, anything like that. So calling your character McDonald's, you could get in trouble for that. And then any names that consist of multiple words. So if you call yourself like Stabby Stab or something like that for your undead rogue, those kinds of things what they'll be looking for when they're looking at names that they don't particularly want to see on that server. So if any of your names fit that criteria, then it's probably not going to be one that Blizzard would like to see.
I think it's basically any name that fits a NPC, isn't it?
Yeah, honestly, I think it comes down to common sense after a while of like if the name seems a bit silly or doesn't fit like a character story or something like that, you can't make it work, then it's probably not worth the effort. Try and work it,
Yeah. Just another thing from Twitch chat there, ZZX Mech. Do RP servers discourage corpse camping simply because it's not realistic? What do you think on that?
I think it's down more to the faction and the etiquette that your fellow players promote. At the end of the day, Blizzard don't really say much about like what they say is like in pretty much everything is don't be a dick. And let's be honest, like if what you do, you will receive. is the way I put it.
Yeah, I think it's kind of just a recommendation for the behavior in PvP scene, and I can say for myself that if I'll see that some alliance players talk to each other in /s chat, they're role playing, I will never tag them just because I don't want to interrupt their role playing. But in other case, all honorable kills are honorable kills.
Yeah, the same point. I think standing there beside someone killing them 10 times over probably doesn't fit the theme, but that's a community thing and not a Blizzard thing.
Like what's kind of worth
Yeah,
remembering is that it's just a game we're playing to have fun, and like at the end of the day, some people won't gank, some people will, some people only gank certain like races and so on, depending on their characters, and it's gonna be interesting because there's gonna be so many different styles. Like I don't necessarily believe on killing every single horde on site. Like if it's a priest just using light magic like holy, then I don't see the point. Like you're playing a paladin, you're there to pitch the light around. Obviously, if they're Forsaken, then there might be a different thing about that.
Yeah, undead equals dead. Sorry, but
Just like gnomes.
The only thing.
How can you kill
Only
that
good.
which cannot be killed?
Only good undead's a dead undead. Second
Simple
time,
as.
obviously.
They can dig their own grave.
Haha.
That's the completely wrong quote, by the way, Kurt. I think it's.
Yeah, I know it is. Yeah, I know.
How can you kill that has no life?
That's what I was going for. But yeah, I've seen some people like on videos and stuff like that as well, saying like if they were playing Druid, the whole like RP side and lore of Druids is that the peaceful nature and everything else. If they came across another Druid on the other faction, the fact that they can see each other in Moonglade at any point is kind of like puts them off killing each other because they feel like, well, he's not really the enemy, is he? He just happened to be Horde.
Is a brother from another mother.
Yeah, pretty much. So I think we probably covered the roleplay side pretty
Can I
well
just
there.
throw something in really quick about this because I think I misunderstood the question because it was like rules and etiquette. And I was like, yeah, role playing rules. Everybody has like different rules, but honestly, it's like some people, and this is probably for people who just get into role play, don't get hung up on role playing rules. Like there are just a million different ways how you can play this out, and if you start arguing with someone, it basically just ends up being like arguing over Yu-Gi-Oh rules or something. Like this is not how Slifer works or some shit, and it just really sucks all the fun of it. So don't get caught up in this. Just just play out what you think it is. Maybe just bump it back a bit if you think you're not secure enough to do this. But honestly, don't get hung up on the rules.
Cool. Let's push over to the tasty topic. So this one, right? We've discussed what people think of our peers or like outside of this community. So now we're going to discuss potential streamers and YouTubers playing on our realm. If there's any concerns over the potential impact with them playing on the same realm as us, basically. So there's quite a few people that we know are here, and if we kind of know of someone that's really trying to avoid announcing that they're coming here and we know that, then we probably maybe don't shout those guys out. But I think there's quite a few that have made it quite public where they're going to be playing, and we can probably talk about those. And any communities that have kind of ported over to Classic, because I think those can have just as much as an impact as a streamer or a YouTuber, and basically like their followership. Or followership, I think would be the correct word. So let's hear some heated opinions, and we'll try and keep it PC, to as much as we were able. Yeah.
How are we going to begin this then, eh?
Well, do you want me to start with the kind of neutral, more positive opinion of it? Is that better before we do it?
If you want to cover who you think you've got alliance side, one of you guys, because I've not really been following that. That's probably helpful first, and then Yeah, there's a couple of opinions. Just chip in. Just try not to shout out over each other. There's not as many of us in the chat now as there was earlier.
So I believe there was a guy coming over from League of Legends recently.
Yeah,
Something I announced today.
He announced today it's PhD.
Like, the thing I want to remind everyone is that you got to remember, in long term, you want a server being popularized or put out there on streams so that people get attracted to come in influx when we do start losing players, because there will always be an attrition of players. And the only way to counter that is by making people go, oh, actually, I'll give that a try, and they'll come over from other locations. And that only way that gets out there is word of mouth. And let's be honest, streaming is pretty much the best way of word of mouth. Now, obviously, it's useful when they kind of follow a similar etiquette of the rest of the server. You don't want someone pitching it at the server as something else than what it is, because then that basically means everyone who comes in will go nope and leave. So basically, I think it's a really good opportunity for the server to continue into the long span, because there's only so much we can do running websites and so on. Like, you still need people to be showing what's happening live on the server.
Speaking of Sif HD, by the way, he came into the Alliance Discord today, and he actually engaged with the community, which
that's nice.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, that's good of him.
He made a Reddit post as well. If you guys didn't see it on the Zandalar tribe.
Yeah, so I mean, as long as they're also encouraging their viewers to respect RPers, maybe encourage also to engage in some RP, I think that would be great.
Can someone link the Reddit post in chat, please?
I will see if I can find it.
Yeah, I can.
Cool. So I can shout out. Obviously, we've got Nixon on the Horde side, and his guild. Or sorry, I'm not going to say his guild. So the guild he's in, because from like the Discord side of it and the community stuff that we're doing, we kind of deal with the GMs. So Gravediggers.
/spit.
So yeah, I mean, Muscle Club's here to curb stomp Gravediggers all day, right?
Yep. Simple.
The only good grave digger is a dead grave digger. Second time, obviously.
Yeah. Dig the grave, they can climb back in it. But from what I see on the Discord, right, obviously, I think on their own Discord they'll be like, red pilled, edgy as, but I'm not there, so I'm not going to judge. But on our Discord, they're fairly well behaved, and they're trying to fit in with the community here, and for the guys running the guild, credit to them, because obviously when you've got quite a large community like that coming into a game, you're gonna have a lot of people that perhaps don't have respect for the rules and stuff. So I'm not gonna knock them, because what the GM and everything's got to deal with is a pretty challenging job. What I will say is, and this is a shout out to the RP community overall, is in the guild adverts that all the guilds do. I've enjoyed seeing a lot of like unique imagery and background lore and stuff like that for the guilds that they're on the server. And to say that Gravediggers is here with a well-known streamer inside the guild, they're not in any different to that in any way at all. In fact, they've got quite a lot of like imagery and media associated with the guild that gives them a bit of a background story. I think that's pretty good, and I think that maybe helps them fit into RP PvP community probably more than people would expect. But we will see when the game's launched, and from the communications that I've had with the GM over there, they're pretty much keen to fit in, but that doesn't mean they're not going to be slaughtering Alliance left, right, and centre. Which I think population wise, they're probably 10% of the Horde, just within one guild. So I'm not going to say that it's not good that they're here, because I think that helps a lot with the faction balance of the server, that we'll probably talk about later on, but and the life of the server as well that you just said.
Oh, I agree. I don't have a problem with them, but like 90% of the moderation logs on our server are like deleting their posts because like the Nazi stuff and like the transphobia and that, it's just a bit too much. Like they just need to lay back on it.
Yeah. Well, we spoke to the boys. We think they've got it under control now. It's all good.
Yeah, I don't think we've banned anyone from Gravediggers, and if we have,
No, we haven't.
It's okay, then we haven't, so that's good. So yeah, I mean, I'm getting on with them all right. I do know on the server as well. Super secret. They're quite pally with a couple of hardcore guilds on there. So Alliance probably want to be watching out in terms of like world PvP, but we'll see.
Yeah, Alliance needs someone to kill, right?
Well, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, you need a big bad enemy, and that's the Gravediggers right now.
Yeah, and that's it, isn't it? And I know we're gonna go. I'm not even gonna say it because we are gonna do faction balance stuff later.
I think Civ's in the Alliance chat just now.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
streamer wise, so I've named one on the Horde. There's definitely another one, and I can't pronounce his name.
Oh,
It
yeah,
begins with
and an
T.
Eva tail.
Yeah, just I know literally nothing about that person, so I'm completely ignorant.
They're
But
pretty
if anyone's
chill.
got any comment,
They played on AD as well, I believe, and it's never been a problem. So I don't see it being a problem here.
So yeah, you've said AD, right? So that's Argent Dawn, which is a
Yes.
roleplay server on retail.
Yeah, it's probably one of the biggest EU ones. I think that and Defias.
Right. Okay. So there's quite a few guilds that have ported over from Argent Dawn, and you guys are already enemies of Gravediggers and their Argent Dawn as well. Is that right?
What is it? Sorry, what was the question? I completely
So
blanked.
you guys are enemies. So Muscle Club on Alliance is enemies of Gravediggers, but is that pre-existing from
God,
retail?
no.
Oh,
No. So essentially, what actually happened was I seen one of their videos being posted. I was like, how arrogant is this? And so I just decided to create this really stupid declaration of war with
Oh, great.
with a clause that says we're going to continue this fight until the Greg's share price hits past £30. So I think, and then it only like starts when we all hit level 60. But it's just it's kicked off from there.
There's gonna be fighting before that.
Oh yeah,
I think
definitely.
there's a meme playlist on YouTube with about 30 videos now.
Oh yeah, there is a meme war that's currently going on.
Yeah, some of the YouTube videos are very good.
Yeah.
I think the raw one, a couple of raw ones were
I think
made
this
them quite funny as well.
this kind of ties in with it though, because one that Dog and I helped to create was one where Nixium was actually putting on stream saying, "Oh well, don't attack me, only attack the actual guild." But there's been no videos apart from the one us two created that actually attacked him. It was only the guild. So from there, it's just I don't know whether or not there's going to be that toxicity already forming.
Nah, I don't think so. I think
It's
it
all
was
just
just
banter.
yeah. But apart from that, I don't think there's any other streamers or any other big ones.
So I think there's a couple of YouTubers on the server, and if you guys just allow me 1 second, because one of the YouTubers that's come onto server is actually a music creator, and I'm gonna throw out a plug right now because I know we're obviously on the web dev side of things. We're definitely interested in artists and storytellers and people doing artwork and all that sort of stuff. One thing we've probably not looked at much in terms of community events is any music related stuff. And we've got a guy that's just come over to the server that I was playing some of his music stuff earlier, and that was really good. And obviously, this is just a community piece rather than does he have like 400 guys that are going to go and change the economy?
Yeah, this is the dwarf music.
Yeah, the Dwarf City one that I think I was passing around it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Like, is it messed up at the first 30
Oh,
seconds?
he's in chat,
and it's
actually.
alright after.
He's in chat.
Oh, we got to play him now.
Yeah, so that one. So this guy is on the Horde side, and obviously, Doug, you can just rip this straight out of ours and put it on the neutral, yeah. But on the Horde side, I've just pinned him at Olverius Iron Fist, I think is his name on YouTube, and he's got a video there with some music on. I know there's more stuff coming up, and I've been given some information on that. But basically, I'm not going to steal his thunder and announce anything that's incomplete. But there's definitely some more stuff from this guy in the works, and the music we've got pinned on the Discord is Warriors of Steel and Stone. It's Alliance sort of dwarf related theme music, but it's really good. And yeah, that's a good like pre-classic hype video that you can listen to.
Yeah.
I think we've probably got someone else on the server, and I think we've got them here. So with Blizz like announcing new servers like 3 a day or something ridiculous for PvP, people that we've got here that we think are staying, they're going to be tempted by jumping ship to a different server because they might get the name they wanted and things like that. So I was told at some point that we had Yogcast on the Alliance side on this server.
Was that confirmed?
I know we have goons, but I don't know about Yogs.
Sorry,
So-
sorry to interrupt, but speaking of the names that people were looking for, I'm making a shout out to a guy that was spamming our server looking for the name Sam. But unfortunately,
Our server, the
he
Alliance
couldn't find
server.
it, and somebody actually had the name Sam, and he found them. But alas, it was a big F in the chat. So
Yeah.
oh god, I keep getting choked up about it.
Well, we can brush on to name reservations coming up quite soon. But yeah, a goon swarm on Alliance side still, or have they kind of laid claim to another server?
I believe they're Alliance, and I think they're coming here from E.
Yeah. Okay. So something awful forums, right, Chris? Do I say that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So me and Chris are both like Eve or ex-Eve players. I still play Eve. So I know Goon Swarm, and I also know that although they're on that game, they have their own community on something awful forums, and they came to Eve from WoW as well, I think. But basically, yeah, they're back on WoW Classic. They're going to be on our server, and I think Yogcast is embedded within them, but I'm not 100% sure.
So is
But,
Good Swarm going to be Alliance or Horde?
Alliance, I was told. Alliance, but we'll see. And so this is where we go on, where one YouTuber can get a bad rep because he has 100 guys that follow him, but yet a community that can be 100 guys can go to a game and have just as much of an effect on the economy, on things like Devil Saw Mafias, like that kind of stuff. I don't think we can pin. I say we because I personally don't make that choice, but I don't think the community can pin the blame of any economy upset just against one player just because there's 100 people that share his mentality. I mean, they're a mini community in themselves. They just have quite a focal point that's visible and public. Whereas, say, if Goonstorm wanted to go and achieve something and shut down like world bosses or whatever it was they wanted to do, you'd be like Grr Goons rather than the guild master of the guild. So I think that's pretty interesting. I think there's probably going to be some large guild communities on the Horde side. There's a few private server slash hardcore raiding guilds that exist. I'm not going to name them because if I name like 3 and I miss out the 2 that consider themselves hardcore, they'll be really upset.
It'll be an uproar.
Like, I feel the best thing to say is we shouldn't get hung up on this type of shit. Like, at the end of the day, we'll probably find that will be like like we might end up finding all the streamers are great, and it happens to just be some other small group of jackasses that we actually have a problem with, like on this all across everyone. Like,
well, I mean, half the problems with Twitch chat normally, it's got nothing to do with the person hosting it. It's just like the fact that it's anonymity and trolls and the internet and, you know, access to broadcast whatever drivel you want to say.
Did anyone?
We'll sort them out. That's what happens. We'll sort them out.
Anyone read the Reddit post about the third-party add-on that added standings and like crazy Eve stuff to WoW?
I think so. Someone.
I can't remember the name of the server. It's a server with a
Fairbanks.
really weird name. Fairbanks, yeah. Some guys working on standing mods from like EVE Online to Horde and Alliance guilds on the same server to be like, hey, this guild's cool. They're our ally, even though they're Horde.
Oh, we had quite a good question in chat from Mingles the Cat asking how does Blizzard stop cross-faction collaboration? Well, I think probably the best thing to say is that really nowadays it's pretty limited. Like at the end of the day, what we're doing as communities is that we've separated everything into 3 main discords. So a neutral discord, which is just for people coming into the community to filter into one of the main factional discords, and then the idea is the faction discords remain separate. So each faction discord has its own world boss type thing, which can only be accessed by people who are approved of that rank. So it's basically that we as a community are aiming to mitigate cross-faction communication by just being nice to each other and going, well, we're here to play a game, we're here to play our faction, and let's have some fun.
Yeah, I think that'll do.
Yeah, and cross-server collusion or cross-faction collusion's like technically against terms of service and bannable and that sort of stuff.
So,
However,
can I
it's
ask a
hard to
question
police.
on this?
Yeah, go on.
I mean, we all know that we're all interconnected via Discord, so I wonder what your guys' opinion is on that. Basically, do you think we should or we should not collaborate on cross-faction RP events because of that, or do you think Blizzard is just gonna turn a blind eye to it and it's gonna be like, that's fine? What do you guys?
I don't think that's a problem because you're not impeding on anybody's playing experience.
Yeah, I think you can draw the line right between like 2 kind of scenarios. So there's collaborating for like strength gains of your character, right? Like collaborating to camp a resource or a boss where you have players like maybe like obviously imagine I'm Horde, right? So if I collaborated with Alliance players that spied on what Alliance stuff was doing, then that would be wrong. But if we put an event out across a Discord saying, tomorrow we're going to raid Stormwind whether you're ready or not, and you guys turn up in force to stop us, well, we was probably idiots for letting you know. But like, if we wanted to have a big fight and that was the point of it, then basically that's like player generated content, and no one's getting any loot from that. And RP events, you progressing like the RP of your character, but you're not like progressing currency or progressing gear and things like that. So I think if you can separate those 2 things from each other, then absolutely no reason to not talk to each other to generate like player made events, but to collude to gain strength is that's where you kind of like go borderline immoral sort of stuff, I think.
I think you brought up a really good point with negotiating the difference between the 2 of those things, because obviously you could then open up the door to faction collusion by having these events, but just something to think.
Yeah,
I was actually more thinking about. I was actually more. Sorry for interrupting. I was actually more thinking about something like, it kind of goes into the on the RP side of things, but I was more thinking about, one guild going to the, like, let's say a Horde guild going to the Alliance Discord. I mean, like, to one guild, hey, I know you guys, could you maybe do us a favor? We have like beef with this other Horde guild. Could you maybe, pay them a visit or something like this. I mean, it kind of can be justified with RP, but I think there's a very thin line with this. I probably asked the question just wrong.
Yeah, I think like world event wise, like working together is fine, but stuff like that, then yeah, it gets a bit edgy.
Because I actually want, I think this could lead to some really good, even if it's just made up beef, but hey, it's conflict, and I'm all about that conflict on an RP PvP server. So
Yeah, well, you gotta generate it up. You gotta hype it up. Make meme videos against the other fact. Get joined in.
Oh yeah, there's definitely.
I'm terrible with memes, man.
Well, someone needs to do it. We've done the whole thing so far. I think Pretendo and Praxis have joined in a little bit.
Well, some of our members have.
We put our first video today, and then like it gets copyright striked in a bunch of different countries, so loads of people just can't even see it.
So, unfortunate.
Cool. So we've kind of, yeah, I don't know how we went off topic a little bit there. We went from streamers and YouTube into cross-server collusion. Yeah.
Crazy
Yeah.
world.
Right. The next question is like a meaty one. So basically, and I'm not overly prepared for this because most of us have pretty much come straight into this from work. But what we penciled in was we was going to talk about the results of the Blizzard Q&A on Tuesday, and by no means are we going to sit here and read out blue posts to anyone, because if they're interested, they can go do that themselves. But there's quite a lot of things that people have like imagined were going to be one particular way, and that Q&A kind of ironed quite a lot of that out. So we've got that pinned. I'm hoping some people have like managed to have a little read, and I've got a bit of a topic that I looked into from there that I can bring up. But what I'll do is, if anyone wants to jump out with any topic from the Q&A, like a shock reveal or something they didn't expect that perhaps the community will be unaware of that we think's worth mentioning, I'm going to just open the room to people who want to jump in. Otherwise, I'll raise like 1 or 2 points and see what people think about it.
Yeah, I do have something to say about only one thing though. I had a really hard time explaining to guild members that medium realm is completely fine for vanilla realms of population, and anything above is just unreasonable standing in queue. Blizzard did a really bad job on communicating that so lately to people.
Yeah, you've got to remember a medium population classic server is more than a classic WoW server.
Yes, and most people are just seeing high population realm and are like, go, we need that high population, medium will die or something like that. That's not true.
Bollocks. It's not gonna die.
It's actually, like, again, another really good point. I've lost a lot of people by making the decision to come here just because they were like, oh, it's going to die. Like, you're an idiot for choosing that one. It's medium pop.
I guess any guild which decided to move here from actual PvP realm lost, but it's for the better, I guess.
Yeah, we was going to talk about it later, but we're on the topic, so we can like smash 2 things off in one go here. So obviously, Chris mentioned there that the WoW Classic that we have now, server population, is a lot larger than what vanilla was back in the day, and Burning Crusade and stuff as well. We had a bit of a look into that today, and I think what we found out was that back in the day on vanilla and Burning Crusade, server populations were capped at, I think, about 3,000 to 4,000. WoW Classic that we've got now is 10,000. So if medium was half, we're already above a full population server on vanilla or Burning Crusade, which means like 5,000 people. That or plus, or 5,000 plus. That's quite a lot. So on the other server listings where they're all saying full, this is where we'll probably see more servers appear as we get closer to launch and even during launch, because all the ones that are saying full, that basically means it passed the 10,000 mark. It doesn't tell you how full it is.
Yeah.
So like Shazra could still be like 40k players for all we know.
Also, don't forget, there's a lot of people who wouldn't have cared at all about reserving their names because their name isn't something someone else would pick, or they're not too bothered about what name they have. So the amount of people that might subscribe tomorrow and join the server could be on high or full very quickly.
I actually worry that many people from PvP servers will go in future to our server, and I'm not against newcomers, get me right. I'm just worried that people will come here only because it's less populated and because of the community, but they won't role play at all. They won't respect some role playing rules of the server, and it will lower the quality of the community. That's I worry about.
I think it won't happen just because many people have stereotypes about RP realms and won't roll there, even if we would have high pop-off, just because it's RP. They just don't read anything after that.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people, and many people just knock on recruiting Discord that I left in a recruiting post, and they see the word PvP in the post in the message, but they don't see RP at all. So the same thing may happen with choosing the server. They don't know even what it does RP mean at all. So they just see PvP and okay, that's PvP.
We had totally opposite problem.
You shouldn't forget that Blizzard is actually opening like 5 new servers tomorrow, and 4 of them are PvP servers. So, I mean, I understand the concerns. Like, I fully see that, but honestly, I think it's going to be fine. Honestly.
Well, our guild did some extensive research on that matter, so I can say that those realms will be full quite fast as well. So that's why we are not rolling on them too.
Yeah,
I
but
can
I
say
think.
that
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm really happy that well, I first time met the guild leaders from the Zandalar tribe today, and I was really glad to hear your thoughts, how you want to play, and so on. And I feel how proper, I mean, appropriate community we have right now, and it's really grows a feeling that I chose the right server to play. Well, I didn't have too much choice because we have only one role-playing PvP server in Europe region, but still, I worried that it could be worse. So I'm really glad that guild leaders who came here before today, I mean, you really, you're really great guys.
Yeah, I feel we've got a really nice community, and we're gonna have some pretty cool world events.
We all here came for more vanilla authentic experience, and I think this realm should be the perfect for that.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I definitely agree. I mean, from literally the first couple of seconds that we joined the Horde Discord, we was asking straight away, you know, how's the RP side work? What's the rules like? Everyone was super helpful. Didn't take long to start communicating with other guilds. Obviously, we've had a bit of a luxury of well, I call it a luxury. It's a part-time job, really, but we've had the luxury of looking after the Horde Discord, which has enabled us to have those communications with a lot of the GMs as they're coming in with their guilds. And we were saying, you know, if you want to advertise, like just drop us a message about what you guys are all about. We get to see, you know, we've been able to see who's on our faction on our server and think, yeah, this is this is a group of players that we're happy to be part of. And I've just not heard anything good about any other Discord groups for other realms really. And as the realms are popping out left, right, and center, I just think that the RP PvP community was established before the server was even an option, and it just shows. It just shows really when you're chatting with everybody else about what they're looking forward to in Classic and things like that. And I just think, you know what, if you're going to go back and play a game that's like what 15, 16 years old, is it right?
16, I think.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
15
16 years
actually.
old. Like, we played Alliance side. We're going back to Horde for an authentic sort of first time experience. And the first ever server we played on was an RP server where we didn't even know what it was about, and I don't think it was there particularly very long. But an RP PvP server is unique. It's something we haven't done, and to me that just adds a bit more to the longevity of actually wanting to play a game that's 16 years old. So I think that's great. So we kind of smashed the faction balance there. Bigged up some of the RP PvP stuff again. Q&A. I got a quick topic I can throw out that was mentioned in the QA, and I think people was telling me otherwise the other day about certain things. So because talents and everything else are going to be 1.12, there's obviously been a bit of a mystery about what items will be in raids and dungeons and things in phase 1. And we're all quite aware, or those that have played vanilla, that as the game went on, a lot of catch-up gear got implemented, and obviously new dungeons added. And some of that catch-up gear was in the raids that you would have already cleared if you was progressing when you were supposed to progress. But if you're entering Molten Core, like for the first time 6 months down the line, there's gear available in there that wasn't there before. And as different phases appeared, things like legendaries appeared in the game. So one of the things that popped up in the Q&A, and for any self-respecting tanks out there might find this quite interesting, is that despite popular belief on the flavor of Classic that we're going to get, day one, the first time you go into Molten Core, the bindings for Thunder Fury, which is like legendary best weapon in the game for tanks basically, and rogues if they don't want to blow themselves up, is available from day one. And I think that's quite significant sort of change to what people might have expected. I wondered what people's opinions on that sort of stuff is.
Well, you still can't get the weapon until phase 3.
No, you can't get the weapon, but we don't know how long phase 1's going to be, so you can start that grind from day one.
I'd say Thunder Fury is not the most important thing.
No, there's other stuff. There's other stuff, but that's an example that I can pick out.
Yeah,
from...
I get. But think that we are getting 112 stats on all items from MC, for example, and most of good MC loot right from the start as well is far more important, as it's more widely available to people, and will make, in my opinion, all raids before Nax quite a lot easier.
So does someone know a bit better how that itemization works so they can kind of call that out? Because my understanding is you go into Molten Core, you got tier 1, but later in the game there was more loot available and it was better itemized, and some of that loot's going to be available from like basically day 1, right?
Wasn't that mostly about the catch-up gear that they added in? Oh my god! Don't quote me on that. 1.10.
Catch-up gear will still be available only in later phases. I'm talking about is good loot from MC that was not there from the start. It was originally added about phase 3 timeline, but now it's available right from the start, and for some classes it's almost bis until Nax.
Well, I read that the loot tables different, and they will change in future. So the chances of drop of each item will shift from phase to phase. That's what I read on US forums.
I think there's some chatter about things like Librams and stuff like that, because there's there's a few classes like paladins and shamans and stuff like that that have some gear that they get as they level up that basically just there wasn't upgrades available from dungeons and raids for quite a while. But Blizzard, I can't recall which way that was swinging in the conversation, but when you was talking there about loot tables changing, that was definitely one of the things that came up. Bosses that would drop things like a Libram for a paladin, and whether it's available or not, it had an impact on the loot table.
That will happen only in phase 5. So
Right. Okay. But does that affect the loot table for the boss prior to then, or just later on?
I don't think it will, to be honest.
Okay, that's cool.
loot tables will
So
only change on phase 5. So
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's a cool thing. So loot tables change in phase 5, basically.
Yeah, actually, I don't care about the loot tables at all, because for me, it's not a game, not about the racing for loot. Like, my wife can Moonfire sheet out of tier 3 mages wearing tier 1 as a Moonkin Druid. So I just want to say that I don't care about the tier I'm wearing. The most important thing is atmosphere for me, and I suppose for most of my guildmates, atmosphere of the game, the communications in the game, events we together going through, and organization and the feeling of the game, of our characters, of the community. That's what we're playing for the spirit of adventures, for just journeys, for discovering some maybe a bit min-maxing of your class in of your choice. So I don't like the most effective builds, talent builds. I don't like this kind of min-maxing, but I like to research how abilities work, how different stats influence your spells and so on. So I like this research, but I don't want to be like a munch who is playing for do the biggest crit, to do the best DPS. To be honest, not so many encounters where in classic when you really need a huge DPS. It's the game about supporting each other, about organization, about preparation, and about really living the fantasy world. Well, as for me, but don't think that it's role-playing PvP servers when you can easily gank role players. It's not role-play server, it's role-playing PvP server. So if you'll meet me fishing and you'll say, haha, role player, he's fishing. He's talking something about the fish. He's bringing his fish to the bank. If I'll see the incoming red nickname, I will completely finish my role playing and will push you back.
Cool. So what I've done is because we could probably talk about it all day, and it's probably getting pretty late for a lot of people. I've dropped the Q&A on from a forum post where someone's kind of like consolidated quite a few of them into one place. There's quite a good link for people to check out if they want to read through lots of other stuff. Unless there's a topic someone's like got burning desire to talk about from that Q&A, we'll probably skip on and then start to work towards the end of the podcast, because we've been going now for quite a long time, and we covered a lot of good stuff. So we've got a few little bits left that are quite fun to end on. So is there another Q&A topic that someone had a burning thing to talk about?
Nope.
I know we've mentioned the looking for guild stuff. We mentioned the RP add-ons. we mentioned obviously the loot changes and server balances and things like that, and how many people's on the server. So I think we covered a good little chunk of that there for probably a lot of people's concerns. So if we're happy, we'll move on to the next one.
There's someone asking how often the podcast is going to be.
How often what's going to be?
The podcast is going to be.
Well, we kept saying bi-monthly, but then people get really confused of what it is. So it's probably going to be shorter the next time we do it, and we would be hoping the next time we do it, there's like some kind of announcement for like a server first and things like that. So we'll probably be a bit flexible with how often we're going to do it. But I think intention from like chatting with Crust is if we're going to keep hosting it for you guys, then we'll probably do it on the same day. And we'll try and go for like once or twice a month, something like that.
Well, yeah, the next time we do it, we'll be announcing the horde of cleared molten core.
Last.
Yeah, so what, like 7 days, right?
Or we'll be submitting that Alliance bug report.
Yeah, or the Alliance bug report. All right, we'll push on to the next topic. So, the next one, I won't say the first part, but the second part was suggested subreddits for our community. I think I already plugged the subreddit for Zandalar Tribe at the beginning. So, yeah, there's a Zandalar Tribe subreddit. So I don't need to go into that again. Now, obviously, this next topic, I drafted some of these a little bit a while ago, so some of you might be like, huh? But I like the backstory. I think it's really funny, and I think it goes into the whole name reservation thing. So we're just gonna, for a laugh, one of the things we're going to finish off, we're going to talk about Thex and the NPC being added into the game, and the little like Reddit meme going on about the character Thex. Does anyone want to say anything? Because I generally thought this was all pretty funny.
To be
They should
sure,
do that
he's
for Sam.
being. Oh, yeah, they should do it, Sam.
Yeah,
for
when are
us
they
at
gonna
least.
add the URL?
But to be sure, Effects is only being added to retail, right? It's not to classic.
Yeah, retail.
Which is kind of weird to me. Would have been more fun.
Yeah, because it's like a classic meta thing.
Right.
I think they would probably love to add him to classic, but then the purists would be like, "What are you doing, man? He wasn't there when I played in vanilla."
One change.
Well, yeah, what you call it one change, but then there's one
It's
more and then one more.
It's a very slippery slope. I know.
Yeah, but
I've seen
I'm
Reddit
getting.
posts where someone have like attacked something 1,000 times to prove the damage is wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm guessing most people probably know the story about this. Obviously, when we wrote it, it was brand new news. But essentially, someone created a topic on Reddit about what character names they were going to go for and stuff like that. And this guy in his in his own innocence created a whole topic about what name people were going to call like the characters, and he said he was going to be a troll shaman called Thex. And wanted to know what everyone else was going to be called, possibly even on his own server. Consequently, literally every person also replied that they were going to be a troll shaman called Thex. So when this came out, it was pretty funny waiting to see when everyone did name reservations on our Discords and was announcing what names they'd managed to bag for their characters. How many people had actually got a character name that matched their Discord name and stuff like that, and how many people was trying to keep what their character name was going to be secret by changing the Discord name and stuff like that. And I just thought that was all kind of really funny, and it's the kind of the whole like I'm Spartacus sort of thing of this poor guy telling everyone he wanted to be called Thex, and everyone else literally on Reddit coining that name for their own characters.
Yeah, now it's just turned into kind of a witch hunt for the name Sam for ours. So.
Yeah, Sammy Sam, definitely.
F in the chat again.
I don't know if he wants Sammy, but he needs Sam to get Sammy.
What about Sandwich?
I have Sammy with an I.
Yeah, Sam's just become like the absolute meme of the neutral server. but most importantly, especially with our meme war, he started to feature a bit more on some of our videos. It's quite poignant.
Not
Oh,
only
shit, yeah, I
neutral
saw that.
Discord.
Not on neutral Discord.
I guess it's same for Alliance one.
Oh God.
Oh, he's in every Discord and the forums and the subreddit, I believe, as well.
Yeah, I saw him on the classic forums.
If he's watching, he will not find the name Sam here.
Okay, so next bit.
Yeah, unless anyone knows of anyone else who's really struggling to get the name they want. But yeah, just a quick friendly reminder: real money trading for names is not allowed, so you'll be banned from the Discord. Don't do it. But yeah, so we've talked about server faction balance and stats. Oh, have we? So basically, we've talked about the size of the server and the longevity of Zandalar tribe, and our medium's literally not a concern because we're already larger than a vanilla server would have been. But I think the one thing we can probably say, if we're sort of kind of boasting about Zandalar tribe, is that a typical PvP server will have a really large amount of horde players because the PvPers are kind of drawn to the racials and the horde side as well. And you can see on some of the polls on Reddit and that sort of stuff that the normal RP servers are quite heavily alliance. And as we said, sometimes people who are going into that find it a bit easier to just pick a human and feel they're good to go with a name like Dave. So on our server, we've got a lot of PvPers on the Horde side, and then we've got a lot of guilds on the Alliance side with that extra chunk of role players and everything else as well. And looking at all the stats that are kind of available to us, which, you know, they might be no more use than a chocolate fire guard, but from the information that we can see, we're probably the best balanced Horde versus Alliance, you know, faction balance EU, probably. I think that's quite accurate.
Yeah, I think we're pretty, well, not 50-50, but we're pretty close.
Where did you get those stats from? I mean, just from the representatives that are here, it seems that it's.
Sorry, there was like 3 or 4 different surveys done by several hundred people, and then obviously on all the Discords, we have sort of you can react with your role, and it gives you like a certain number.
The primary one is the Classic WoW subreddit. I think about 1,000 people from our realm filled it in.
Yeah, I think Richard
But I think
did a survey as well. That's the one we all announced.
Oh yeah, those ones. Yeah. So I think it was like actually Richard's friend, wasn't it? Because there was a question at the end like, "Will you support Richard for Scarab Lord?" So I think it's one of his friends like plugging him at the end. But yeah, no, that survey was really good, and I think that had quite a high percentage of people filling it in from our realm, and definitely, you know, that kind of pie chart. There was a line like smack down the middle, pretty much for Horde and Alliance distribution, and it's really impressive. But yeah, there's the subreddits and the polls, and then obviously you can kind of do a bit of a comparison between the discords, but you know, you've still got your Alliance and Horde spies hanging out on each other discords as well, kind of inflating the numbers a little bit.
the reason why I think Alliance is more represented here at the podcast is basically because we're kind of more organized and we got some more guilds. I mean, we started already setting up the Alliance Discord a long time ago, and even before the server was announced, we already had like 10 guilds, some small, some large, already with us.
Okay, I mean that's a good point. It's nice to hear because obviously from someone who hasn't had a look at these surveys yet, the first thing I was concerned about was just how many Alliance to Horde were in here. I'm going, oh dear, this could be difficult for us. But yeah, it's good to hear that there's surveys gone.
Yeah,
I think think the last sort of figures I looked at on some of the surveys, it was pretty much like 52, 53 Alliance and like 47, 48 Horde on the percentages. Which, I mean, if I was an Alliance member and I didn't outnumber Horde 2-1, I'd be worried.
Wasn't it rather like almost 50% Alliance and 47% Horde and 3% still?
I'm just looking at it now, and it was 48.3% Horde and 49.4% Alliance. And then there was a few undecided.
Perfect balance.
Yeah. I think that's like a really good thing for the server because I remember like when we kind of rebuilt our guild, when we like formed our family and friends guild for the first time and we rolled on cattle, we wanted to go on a PvP server, and we super heavily looked into faction balance, and we decided to try and play on the only PvP server that had more Alliance players, because we was like, well, we want more people to kill. And you know what, it's probably one of the best like leveling experiences and stuff like that I ever had. So to be able to now play on a classic realm with an even balance, it's going to make questing and leveling and stuff out in the open world for certain people that aren't hiding in dungeons really fun.
Yeah.
It does seem
and trust me, we will find what dungeons you're hiding in.
It does see from those statistics and what you guys have been speaking about, it's almost like the realm is a bit of a hidden gem to other people.
Yeah, I hope outside of this RP PvP community people would see that. And I think like, when we've tried to talk to people in guild and reassure them like how much RP is mandatory and things like that, or how it's not at all, as long as you're respectful, we've kind of come, there's a bit of like a running joke that like with the way Blizzard names the servers, that the fact that they put the word RP before PvP kind of makes people kind of write the server off sometimes in their mind, because they're like, oh, it's RP first though, isn't it? It's just like PvP secondary. And it's like, well, actually, no, probably not for the vast majority. That'd be totally the wrong way round. And maybe on the faction side, for the Horde, definitely like when we first came into Discord and I was asking people how it works, we got that kind of vibe that it was a PvP hyphen RP server. Maybe the Alliance is a different story, but on the Horde side, there's a lot of bloodthirsty players who really want to dive into that PvP, and they're looking forward to the community events, the maturity of the server, and that like little bit of RP flavor that they can throw into to things as well, just as extra content really. I think it should make a healthy server. We might not have as much ore on the auction house, but there'll be plenty of skulls to bash while you're out leveling for both factions. And I think that's the important bit, that it's both factions that benefit from a faction balance.
Yeah. All right.
One thing I just wanted to bring up that some other people mentioned to me. I don't know how you guys think I can combat this one. What they did say was, oh, it's an RP PvP realm. Like, you're just taking it the easy route. It's much easier to be like, for example, not that I'm going for it, high warlord, or to be able to be first in whatever. Oh, because you're choosing a smaller realm and you don't want to go to somewhere like Shazra where it will actually be difficult, which I think is totally rubbish.
Yeah, someone linked the math on how it all works.
Yeah,
it was really weird.
ranking math's like really complicated. And I was looking at some stuff, we was looking at it, right, Crust. I don't think it's easier to rank on a server with less people. I actually think it's a little bit harder. So, but I don't really understand fully how that math works. And you know what? It's probably so backwards that there was a reason Blizz like didn't have it eventually as well. but for hardcore classic fans, the ranking system is the almost unachievable goal that if you put enough effort in, you can get there. And for some people, that's got a lot more worth than queuing 16 hours arena a day just to grind your rating up or something.
As far as I know, it depends. Like you need to be in the top of the players of the server, so the ranks are the same in each server. And if you have smaller population or high population, it doesn't matter. Well, maybe in high population servers, you'll just faster find the battleground queues. But the number of like people who compete for these high ranks more. So it doesn't matter how populated server is if we're talking about the ranks, in my opinion.
Right. So I think we've covered that topic. So the last bit, literally the last thing we're going to talk about now is, take the gauntlet off, throw it down on the table. Anyone that's left, is anyone staking any claims? Rag first city raids, Toramill South Shore. Is anyone right here, right now, on
Muscle Club
record?
will dominate Gomgol.
Got the balls to stake a claim.
Muscle Club will have screenshots of all Gravedigger officers dead on the ground, including Nixium. Simple as.
Muscle Club, simple as.
Well, about MC and First Track, my bet is on Praxis Guild. I think they are most hardcore out.
Yeah, I think so too. If we wanted to, we could have done it, but I've actually made an announcement to my members saying, like, enjoy the ride. We're not going to rush the first raid. I mean, for me, it actually really starts with Blackwing Lair, because that is more a testament of skill and coordination, whereas multicore is just like who can last the longest without sleep. So
I'm still gonna bet 10 Arcanite bars on Praxis that they're gonna kill Rack first.
I completely agree with that real race starts only after phase 3, and I guess if everything goes well, our guild will join the race after, as we are quite ready for it.
Yeah, I mean, I can't recall if Molten Core was available day one of vanilla because Blizz made such a big sort of statement about it being available for day one for Classic. So part of the race to Rag it is the race to 60 as well, and I'm not sure from the original release of the game if that was the case. Also, and I'm not wanting to dive into it too much, but with the talent point system, 16 debuff slots in raids, and various other things, we can basically say that it's not like Molten Core isn't going to be the same level of challenge. So there's going to be a large element of the first full guild or group of players that can get to 60 and grind up associated reps for the other components of being able to clear Molten Core. They are going to, if they're in there first, they're going to have a good chance of getting the world first. It's not like when a new expansion, when a new raid tier comes out on retail and everyone's ready to go, and it's how many boss attempts it is for world first Rag. It's going to be getting to 60 and getting everyone ready is going to be perhaps as much of a journey as the raid itself.
Probably as first guild that managed to get at least 30 people level 60 will get this first kill. I think same thing happened in start of Wrath of the Lich King, with first raids being so easy that literally first guild that leveled got.
I think you cut out there.
Yeah, I think you let go, you pushed the top button.
My bad. I was saying that first guild that managed to level in Wrath of the Lich King almost definitely got all first kills on the first raids. Naxxramas, Obsidian Sanctum, and Maribel, just because they are quite easy.
So, in which week do you guys think the first full guild raid team will down Ragnaros?
Oh, 2 weeks probably.
There's quite a bit of stuff to do, just simply outside of actually clearing the raid and getting 60.
Oh yeah, you've got to get the rep, haven't you?
Yeah. You got to get the Hydrox rep and get the flipping stuff for summoning and stuff.
Oh,
so
please don't remind me of that.
What's
I completely forgot about the rap part.
You can farm rep inside the raid, don't forget that. Even
it
if you
just takes
have big
forever.
competition in Silithus.
Yeah, so there's stuff to do. There's quite a few quests and bits and bobs as well. So it's not a case of just clearing up to the boss. There's some outside work to do. So yeah, I don't think 1 week from launch realistic. However, if you exclude the first 2 or 3 days of launch for whatever issues that we might have from Blizzard, if you just kind of said those first 2 days didn't exist, probably a week from then could be realistic for someone clearing most of Molten Core. It just depends on if they can get all the external things sorted as well. But 2 weeks is probably achievable for a lot of guilds that are actually gunning for it.
Yeah, we are actually being quite slow in that matter. We only plan to start raiding about 1.5 months or even just because we do not have a lot of time to level, even though we are pretty hardcore raiders in the past.
I think it'd be interesting to see if any guilds try and go for an Elixir kill before Rag, and that'd be interesting to see if anyone goes in that direction. Like say with the debuff slots and everything else, that could change the game a little bit.
I'd say it's even more possible than Rag.
The attunement's definitely longer. Right, okay, so no one's staking a claim right here, but Praxis left some claims early, some bold claims about the bug reports. So what we'll probably do then is this has been a great sort of little journey into everything on the server. We did some pretty big shout outs for the web page, which was zandalartribe.eu. That's still being worked on and polished off, but definitely that's going to be a central focus for RP events and community stuff. So I've really enjoyed actually hosting this with all you guys. I know obviously quite a lot of people in the chat have dropped out now, but for everyone that's stuck with us from beginning to end or even just joined on the stream and contributed in the Discord chats and on the Twitch chat as well, just like to say thank you very much for listening and for taking part in whatever way you have. We'd look to do this stuff in the future and with obviously announcements for if Praxis does get that bug report in and things like that. I'm probably going to wrap it up now, and we'll probably end the stream and then figure out how we're going to upload 2.5 hours of recording. But thankfully, we've got our own service host it all on that just happens to host in the web page as well, right, Crust?
And hopefully we'll try not to be too smug when the Horde's got all the world first,
Yeah. We'll try not to stick too much Horde branding on the web page as well with the Horde dominance that's going to ensue.
But yeah, remember to have fun, guys. It's not about hitting level 60.
About journey.
That's it. Enjoy the game.
And killing the Horde.
Yeah, my sports teacher said it's the taking part that counts, right?
Simple as.
Thank you for the invitation. It was a pleasure for me to be here today with you, to know you, to hear you first time. So thank you. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yes,
Thanks
thank
for
you
having
for the podcast. See you all on the battlefield.
Yep, thanks for having us and thanks for watching.
Yep, it's been good fun. Thank you, everyone.
See you in game.
Night.
Bye, boys.
Just 25 hours left.
Not
Yeah,
long.
yeah.
Well, if you
Cool.
can log in.
Yeah. All right. Take care, guys.
See ya.
Bye.